Hey, good morning, afternoon, whatever the time is. Welcome back to the video. My name is Losco, and today I'm talking about the one time I got into a fight at school. And this one time, this fight was kind of a huge deal. Got suspended, got into an altercation over something so simple and dumb. If you guys want to find out what the reason was, just stay tuned. And before we get into it, subscribe, like, and let's get straight into it. When it came to me, I never started issues at school. I was always the type of guy who was chill, just wanted to be alone. I just did my thing. Not many people bothered me because I never bothered anybody else. However, we had this one kid. I'm gonna name him E for the rest of this video. Me and E weren't close. He was known as a weird kid. We called him sausage fingers. Yes, it was something that I wasn't proud of. That was back in, school, but kid was on the heavier side of things. When it came to E, he was very spontaneous. Kid had a lot of energy, he was always happy, but that's besides the point. So, me and E were semi-close, and we got along. However, this one day, I'll admit it, I decided to take things a little bit too far, and it led up to us both getting suspended and into a fight. So what he was doing that specific day, he was looking away from me, sitting from the teacher, getting into tutoring because he was falling behind. So I knew these two guys, I considered them friends back in the day, but they really made me do some dumb things, you can say. Some things that weren't logically or things that just made absolute no sense, but that was just during school. They told me to go up to him and just slap him behind the neck. For those who know, back in the day, you would have necked somebody, give them a nice old good ass slap in the back of their neck. Some people hated it, some people played along with it, and he was the type of guy who played along with it. I guess I just caught him in a bad mood, whatever the case may be, but that's what I did. I necked him, and from the second I necked him, I walked back to my seat, and I think that's it. I think he's gonna get me later, or, that's what I believed. So I sit down, and I turn around. I see him get up, and he looks at me, and his face was like, hey, just know I'm gonna go up there and punch you right now. When you see somebody, you can tell they want to fight. So instinctively, I get up and I look at him. I start sizing him up, I was a little bit taller than him. I was skinnier, but I was a little bit stronger due to the fact that I was involved in sports. So what he does is he looks at me, he gets in my face, and I tell him, hey, back up a little bit. We're just messing around, and don't take it serious. Don't take it to heart. And what he does is he charges at me, tries to tackle me. What I do is I put him in a headlock, and I stand my ground, and I just hold him there, and I just hold him until he gets tired. Eventually, he starts to give out. My teacher starts yelling, "Stop! Stop! Stop!" Hey, don't do that. Let go. Let go. And I let go. That's the mistake I made. I let go. I shouldn't have listened to my teacher. The reason being is because the second I let go, I just hear a loud slap. But thing is, my body didn't react in time. He slapped me behind the head, and my head lunged forward. I'll admit it. That was a cheap shot. He shouldn't have done it, but did I deserve it? I definitely did. He sits down, and I sit down, and we're separated. And then the teacher leaves the classroom for some apparent reason, and then comes back with two other teachers, and the teacher asking who got into the fight. And when she points at Eve, they're like, okay, that's reasonable, and they point at me. I'll admit it, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I was the teacher's pet. They were surprised because, I was a good kid, good academics, good at sports. I was, just that one kid. Afterwards, we get escorted to the office, and we just sit there and wait, and then the principal comes in, and she's talking to us saying, oh, I'm extremely disappointed in you, the talk that the teachers give you every time you get into a fight. After a bit though, my parents were called, they were asked to come in, and I grew up in a very Hispanic household. So the second I got home, I got questioned, and I did tell them the truth. I started it, and so in return of my honesty, I got grounded. I got my phone taken away, my console taken away, it was a very unfortunate 3 days of my life because I was suspended for 2 weeks. So 3 days I couldn't have anything, and the rest of the weeks I was only allowed a certain time my devices. So yeah, guys, that's the story of the time I got suspended for getting into a fight. I have a couple more stories of me getting into more fights in school. I also have a couple stories of my work and my past jobs of things I've done and things I shouldn't have done. Things I've gotten away with, things I've gotten caught, and it's pretty exciting. So if you guys are interested to hear the stories, make sure you guys like, subscribe, it helps me. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.